While everyone is busy with Imola 4 hours, you are all very welcome to Riverside, back into the vintage car of the vintage sim nowadays, R Factor 2. We are into Quali session and we go straight onto the track and install the engine. Great start. Alright, here we go. Actually, one more thing I wanted to do. I forgot to do calibrate controls. Reach set by vehicle. Let's just keep going like that. We've done the whole season on that. Anyway, hi Mario, hi Ricardo. RF2 still living. Of course, it's still living. Why would it not be? Such a nice sim. At least for nowadays, for the historic content mostly, because the modern content is very well simulated by LMU, of course. But I mean, we don't really have too much of a full grid today, because it's not an easy car to drive, and it's race 10, actually race 9, because one round was cancelled. But it's not an easy car. Around most of the tracks that we've done this season, Riverside is probably one of the most forgiving. But people have lost interest after crashing out and so on. But we still have some very fast drivers. We still have Bert Knops driving the Brabham, being the Brabham, like sim racer for the Brabham. That's still one of the highlights of the season for me. Also, last time in the Eagle, actually second to last time that I'm driving a car with a Rafa scheme of colors. Yeah, okay. Have to focus a bit more for this corner. Let's not impede the guy behind. Also remember the rules, if I crash, I cannot go out again, so... Not really much places to actually crash here anyway. Okay. So I already bumped the wall, but that's fine. No damage. This is one of the most difficult corners in the world, to be honest. Unless you have some downforce. a lot of understeer because the fuel tank is on front and I cannot put the nose more down, but on full tank it's gonna be a lot more oversteery. Like always. Use the gear. Not gonna be a good lap. I'll box for new tire anyway. Hello Nazar. So this is basically this is Riverside, which is quite a nice mod. It's quite a known track, I think, in the US. We had Formula 1 racing around here back in the days, but I don't think the track exists anymore. And the car is basically just a mod made for HRSC, which is the organization that runs this thing. And it's based on the F1 cars made by ISI, like, I don't know, 11-12 years ago, which were just like by default in the game. F1 EV and F1 Spark, I think they were called, because they did F1, F2 and F3 kind of simulation of 1966-67. But I think by the rule book I need to park it in the box to be able to escape. So let's do that. That's gonna do it. I would like a bit more rotation. So maybe let's use a bit of rear anti-roll bar. Although it's R factor 2, maybe let's rather increase rear ride height. Yeah, there is no aero on these cars, so I don't even know how aero works and what to do with the balance, but of course higher rear ride height will mean more oversteery car, regardless of the aero, most often than not. But yeah, I think, I don't know, I think you need to... it should be a public mod, to be honest, like historic roads... what's it called? HRSC. Historic roads... or historic racing sports community? I cannot remember. Very tight for the pole. 25 milliseconds. Yeah, basically it's been like just two cars, like F1 EV and F1 Spark, which were, I think, simulation for I don't even know which two. I think two of the more known cars, like maybe Lotus and Brabham or something like that. And the mod is made using those cars to make them era correct engines, engine upgrades during the season, weight and weight distribution and stuff like that. Like they really tried their best to make a nice mod out of it, but it's so sketchy, so difficult to handle, especially around tracks. Like, well, we did Nordschleife, we've done Pescara, we've done Monaco, Spa, Zandvoort. It's really not easy, so I think people struggled a bit too hard to keep the grid full of all the 25 cars I think that were registered. Anyway, fresh tire, let's find some pace. Meters too late on the brakes. A difficult braking zone because you brake uphill and then downhill and you need to adjust your brake position accordingly. Bert got me for pole, but I have 3/4 for sure. I absolutely need to lead after the start, otherwise it's gonna be difficult to defend or fight for the win. I keep messing up this snake. On that final lap before pitting, when I abandoned it, I gained 3/10, I think even. But it's difficult the way that we need to abuse those curbs and track limits, and in practice I absolutely got launched into the air over one of those curbs. And when I landed sideways, and then it was like the biggest kind of roll in my sim racing history. Well, not the biggest, but like it rolled sideways, the car, over its roof like 10 times within 2 seconds. I wouldn't like that to happen today. This banking kind of tightens on the exit. I wish it was the other way around. Oof. broke too early. The delta was there. Box. Should have time for 6 more laps. If I got a toe on that back straight, that would be awesome. Although it's been toned down, so it's not as strong as on the default mod. I'll need to be brave in this braking zone, and then I can get the provisional pole if Knops doesn't improve. Why is that the constant yellow flag? It's a bit annoying. Broke too early again. I missed the apex. Well, there is no yellow flag rule. Anyway, 20 milliseconds in the lead. Now I don't know if... I mean, these tires should... It's R Factor 2 tires, right? So they should be quickest in lap 1, but sometimes they are not. And the temperatures are still not too high, so I'm just gonna keep going. I have 2 tenths for sure, maybe 3. Hello, Ati. Ah, Bert got me. Need to improve more. That was good. Missed the apex. Okay, well, 39.9. That's nice. Do I have enough time to box and get new tire on? Thank you, Nazir. Yeah, like, I think I have a 10th on the exit of that weird braking zone, because now I went just a bit too wide. Other than that, the lap was beautiful. So I would need to... wait, I need 2 minutes and 15 seconds, let's say, if I box now. And then I have 1 lap of fresh tires. Or I can push it now. Seconds. Do I have... wait, 140? How long do I need to exit the pit lane? Maybe 15 seconds is enough, but I need to reduce fuel. I think it should be just about enough. Kirsten has entered the game. Oh. He's... don't crash. Kirsten is one of the quickest around here. Escape. Reduce fuel. Drive. Come on. It's gonna be tight. Yeah, I need 145 when I exit the pits. $45. Gonna be tight. Let's see if there's a car on track. Maybe I'll just miss extra chance. I think it's so easy to gain 3/10 here just by being super brave, just braking a bit later, making the apex, somehow sticking it to the road. And you can do that in the final lap. Because then you can escape and you don't get penalized. Too much traffic ahead. What is the line? 2, 1, 0. Why do I always miss by a couple of tenths? That happens in LMU so often. Anyway, let's not impede somebody. Where is Bert? Bert is on his lap. Is he gaining? He's not gaining yet. 2 tenths, 1 tenth slower. Okay, I think things are looking good. Unless Bert gains 3 tenths here. Not gonna happen. Alright. Yeah, I saw F1 Quali. We should have more wet races, to be honest. Anyway, load the race setup. And now we jump, as always, into the briefing room.
Back to the start line anyway. I'll shut up now.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the torque curve and stuff again, like the BRM had a very narrow torque curve, but I think it might have been modeled a little bit too narrow. So yeah, it's a bit shit. So I'm sorry, guys.
You don't have to apologise, mate. We knew what we were signing up for.
Yeah.
Oh, Bearman. Oh yes, that was funny.
Yeah, still, you know.
It's like in iRacing when you lock up and there is nothing you can do, and you just
already start sharing the screen.
At least he didn't damage his car, right?
Darren, we can rest assured that ours is the best sounding car. That's let's have that.
I'll take that.
I mean, you win the trophy with the most moving parts strapped into one vehicle.
True.
Greatest engine explosion.
I will listen to the briefing 2 meters away. So
Anyway,
BRB.
who's still missing? I think that's. No,
I will answer about iRacing in 2 minutes when I come back. BRB.
Gabriele.
Yeah. I'm gonna start us off already, though. Yeah, round 10. Welcome, everyone. As the more perceptive of you have probably guessed, this is round 10, the final round, United States Grand Prix. at the Riverside International Raceway. The schedule is as the last race weekend as well. Starting procedure will be a standing start as usual. On that note, we only have one horn. So, we have the classic dudes, and then it'll already start. Like the next one will already be the lighter in tone honk that starts the race. So it's only one honk, just so you guys are not caught out by it. Lapping is the usual Grand Prix flag racing, blue flag rules. All of you here have raced this the entire year, so yeah. Track limits will be enforced by the in-game system. Should a car go off track and gain a significant advantage or position or exploit an in-game system, drivers that are at disadvantage of that action have the right to protest that. We will also look just generally in the section of Sector 1, as long as you are, with two wheels still on the curb and all that stuff, I'd say that's still good enough, because honestly, the section is so narrow and fast. As long as you don't overtake around there, or you completely cut the final left-hander before the braking zone into the double right-hander towards the infield and stuff. Guys, we want to be relaxing. We want to have fun. It's the final round. Just don't try to just go 9 wide around the outside and gain 17 positions with an exploit like that. But I trust everyone here that we are all having the same sporting spirit. Pit lane does not have a speed limit, but drivers are required to safely enter and exit the pit lane and their pit box. That's not too complicated, luckily, around here, because Riverside has a nice and fixed pit wall. Carrying on with a broken car, the reserve car rule I omitted already because it's the final round anyway, and we didn't have anyone affected by it from the last round. And it's just, lose a wheel, retire the car. Don't try to do any funny business on 3 wheels and all that stuff, because it just fucks over people's races. Disconnect, the same as usual. Cars in the condition that the connection to the server was interrupted. And it's not a quick repair, but you are, of course, allowed to rejoin. We will not have an orange zone, except for the entire circuit for lap 1, as usual in the last couple of rounds. So, yeah, we have enough space around here. It is a very wide circuit. It is a very fast circuit. Just don't try to go, dive bomb from 15 miles back into turn 9 and kill 17 people. Which would be impressive, because we are only 11 drivers, and on the outside of turn 9 there are no people other than the concrete wall and the workers there. But yeah, are there any questions, guys?
Nope.
Will we be running full length warm up, or transitioning to the race after a certain time?
I'll have to have a quick chat with our broadcast guys.
Okay.
Generally, I'd go that we have another 10 minutes so everyone can have a quick whiz break and all that stuff, because it's going to be around a 2-hour race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are Gabriele, Giovanni, and me eligible for points?
No, not in this case. You're still, racing for racing's sake and stuff, and you don't have to jump out of the way of championship contenders. But since you guys are doing a guest start after you compete in Formula 2, it's the same way. It goes vice versa. So Formula 1 drivers were not eligible for Formula 2 points, and Formula 2 drivers aren't eligible for Formula 1 points.
Okay, so based on qualifying results, Maddie would finish P3 for the point standings. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Are there any other questions, guys? Right, then, yeah. Thank you very much for attending the briefing. Thank you even more, everyone, for attending the series. I know that it's dragged on for quite a bit. Next time will be on the shorter side again, so it's a bit more, overseeable. Also, the races will be a bit shorter again, so it's not as insane to prepare for, and it'll also be less setup-intensive cars. So, yeah, look forward to it. And generally, just thank you everyone for attending all of these events, races, series, and stuff. Because without you guys, we couldn't have this community. Right, with that dismissed, all the sentimental bullshit out of the way, and let's leave some burnt rubber on the track.
Good luck, everyone.
Thank you, good luck.
Good luck.
Have fun.
Good luck.
Good luck, everyone.
Have fun.
Good luck.
Okay, so couple of minutes of warm-up to explain what do I think about iRacing. Hi Tsari. So about iRacing, I think it's... Wait, is my camera a bit sagging down today? iRacing is fine. Except on the braking zones, it's not fine. It's completely against real life inputs. I mean, I like to cry about it now and then. Like in iRacing there is not really any mid corner. You're basically braking and trail braking and just trying to not load up front outside tire, and then you're straight to exit. There is no like point where you actually turn in. At least not relatively compared to what you do in RF2 or LMU or so on. Like let me see if you're still here. Let me display on here what is the iRacing brake trace. You need to do this. While so like slow on and then stay peak. But what you have to do usually is like this: hard on brake and then slow release as the downforce drops. And I watched, was it Alexander Spitz doing that? Oh, Bert hit my bump. Uh-oh. What he means is... what he means is this bump here. If you take this bump in a bit of a wrong way, it absolutely launches you into the air. So let's hope that doesn't happen. But yeah, I watched iRacing IMSA esports, like the biggest top level esports thing on iRacing, the endurance with Kwanda and Red Lions and so on. And this Alexander Spitz guy, well, he drives the GTP, so the hypercar kind of. But still, despite all the downforce, he does this on the brake, like brake straight and then release it. And that doesn't make any sense. High downforce cars, like it doesn't work like that. So that iRacing tire is like completely bugged, and they don't plan to fix it. Like they did this big tire update recently in past year, but it's same problem. I don't get it. And I would like, I had some itches to kind of go into iRacing a bit deeper despite all my struggles, but I just have to completely erase everything I know about braking, and it just doesn't make any sense. Problem is that the iRacing braking kind of, like, it kind of works in other games if you try to kind of lift and coast. So it's not lift and coast, but like slow brake and like I don't know how to explain even. It's not that ineffective, right? Or inefficient, but it's still, you need to do that like for max pace, not for fuel saving. So I have my problems with iRacing. My hate relationships with a little bit of love in the middle when an event goes well, like VCO did last time. So what do we do here on the start? And then Bert is on the right side, and I absolutely turn in on him, take the apex, and I'm in the lead, right? That's the plan. And then not hit this curb too much. Why is it so cloudy? They said that it's gonna be sunny. Feels weird to have Riverside and like desert terrain, but cloudy. Although, if Las Vegas can be rainy, then I guess makes sense. for sim to real, I think it's better just because there are more opportunities. But then again, you need to be, you know, you need to be Chris Lallam driving for the red line, or you need to be Suelio Almeida coaching and being decently quick on iRacing to get the necessary funds and the support. Or you just need to target those specific leagues, like the Prodigy Racing League, or what was the other one? Like the GT Masters on Race Room, where the winner got a drive with real life GT team, I think, if I remember correctly. Alright, so enjoy, have fun. The long run driving style here is so difficult, or so different rather. It's not difficult, but it's so different than Quali, because you are always able to send it sideways, gain a lot of time, and car kind of tells you to do it, but then the tires will get destroyed. And I need those tires till the end. And this is gonna be a prime dive bomb opportunity, so we need to keep it parked on the apex. And I guess it's like 3-4 minutes more of warm-up. I don't need to save fuel, because it's quite a short race relatively, like it's gonna be less than 2 hours, so we had longer races before. And this, the Eagle car had a massive fuel tank because it was made for Indianapolis as well, like for IndyCar rather. So it had like a huge fuel tank, like 250 liters or so. I never needed more than 200, I believe. Today I need like 170. But then we have the Brabhams, like Knops in the Brabham has I think 150, 140 max, but he uses like 120. So as always, the start and the first part of the race is difficult because they are just so much lighter. Ah, I see, yeah. GPL. I mean, but in R Factor 2 we could, in R Factor 1 we could always see it, right? Yeah, it would make it interesting for sure, if you couldn't see. Or if you just had that indicator, like the gauge in the cockpit. I am using a lot less fuel than in Quali. So maybe I can reduce my race fuel. Switching to race session. Okay. I think I used 2.7 in Quali. Let's say 2.62 times 65. 170. That's fine. 71. Okay. I am scared of the start because it's super difficult to launch this car. Although I did shorten my first gear. Monza was nice because both me and Kasper Stolze, who did the race with the Eagles, messed up the start because it's just so slow with Eagle. But then the straight was so long that I just out-accelerated everyone. Fuel pressure gauge. That's really that's cool. Cool and stressful. Anyway, time to get this final round of the season done. Again, shame that we only are 11 here, which is less than half of the initial grid, but people have struggled. And we were split between Formula A and Formula B, which is like F1, F2. Oh! Okay. Right. All good. That's not what I needed. And it was not a bad start, but the Brabhams just accelerate insanely well. I hope the straight is long enough. I don't think it is. I have massive top speed advantage. He has a lighter car. Okay. I'm slightly more confident through that braking zone, but I'm losing 2 tenths per lap. Feels like. Need to keep my rear alive. Yeah, I did hit the apex, yeah. The later I brake, the earlier I stop. I don't know what is it. The good thing is that Knops is not cooling away like it in some other tracks like Nordschleife. But he's still pulling away. Though again, the tire, or like rather the fuel difference, is gonna decrease towards the end of the race. agree, Shiny. But I have to drive like that. I am closing the gap. Nice. think I need to hit the apex here, then run wide, and then exit very late. Still learning the line. I never know if I'm gonna miss the apex or hit it too early. Gearbox. Here on a bit wide. But the gap keeps closing. That's great. into the gravel. I was slightly cautious for him not to cut across, but he got such an immense exit. I'm cooking the left tires there. Right, so I need to be within 6/10. What is he doing there? Weird line. He goes so close to the wall. Use the DRS. Oh well. That 1967 Chaparral had double DRS. Manual. I'm lacking a wing or two. I need 1.5 tenths. And then maybe I can attack. Eight tenths, 7 tenths, just not close enough. I mean, I would love anti-DRS, like I would like to put on some wings. He's gaining some confidence. Finally. Come on. Power. And don't let him take the apex. Because he has lightness and I have the power. Oof, okay. I think I'm just gonna take it slightly easy. Because I don't need to wheel spin my way. Maybe good time to tone it down a bit because I was starting to get slightly overconfident into this braking zone. Which usually in this car means that you're about to have the massive lock-up and crash. I think this is these are two of his best corners. The hairpin before and this hairpin. And then he drops a bit of pace. It's tiny pedal indeed. I use it for both R Factor 2 and LMU. Oh, I slowed it down quite a lot. It was 1 second of pace last lap. So what are the chances? Where can I lose it now? I must not outbrake myself. I must not destroy the tire. And I must not hit that curb bug in Sector 1. And here I can be just safe because I have, I don't know, 80 more horsepower. Speed and power, let's go. Well, I mean, the American cars were kind of made for American tracks. It had zero chance at Nordschleife, like zero chance. Ay, ay, ay. Ah, I'm gonna say I just took late apex. The corner is insane, it just keeps going. If you completely overshoot it, you still kind of hit the apex, just a lot later. This track is great for defending because I don't even have to defend anything, all the braking zones are already kind of on defensive lines. Except this one here. leaves the server. Our dear admin, always quick on the start and then something happens to him. No worries, Mac Motorsports. Ah, poor Knops behind. Like, that's the worst position to be in. With too little power to make a move. But just enough cornering speed that you get close, but you just cannot do anything with it. My pace is so inconsistent. I really wish more people would appreciate this kind of racing. It's just something you just don't get anywhere else. Maybe slightly in Assetto Corsa they have that one or two really nice historic series. But I still prefer, of course, the R-Factor FFB. Even though the cars are a bit too slippery. Oh, sprained ankle. Oh, okay. Yeah, understood. Well, may that thing heal quickly. thank you, Nico. I wanted to check the lap time and miss the apex. But the pace is slowly but surely improving as we burn off the fuel. Okay. Interesting. I was scared that he would understeer off the gravel into my side. Couldn't really focus on the defense. But all good. We have the power. I wish we had this combination in like LMU dailies and the bronze with 20 splits. That was the fastest lap of the race. So positive on throttle because I have opened up the diff a lot. This is a really funny bop. I think Knops still has the same pace as on the start, but my car is just getting so much quicker. I mean, I'm burning more fuel, so that makes some sense, but I thought I would be wearing the tires more. It's a heavier car, a lot more power. But I guess the fuel advantage, or like fuel difference, is the most important difference. But well, we are halfway through the race. I don't even know what's the championship situation. I have missed 3 races, I think. So I'm not really in contention. Maybe top 3. Pozdrav, Anthony. I'm not the most confident of what the rear tire will do when it wears, or where is the cliff and so on. But I guess we're gonna end up above 50%, and that should be fine. Although the old ISI tires tended to cliff around 50. Ay. Just a little friendly tap on the wall. The car is just so sideways that it's not easy to control. Wrong line. Not easy to control where the rear will be as you apply the throttle. But shouldn't be any significant damage. Blind crest. Just cannot get used to it. Yeah, Knob's behind doesn't seem to have any answer to my increasing pace. Really fun to see how Bob works. Because in the first 5 laps I was like, oh no, he's just gonna pull away. And then I just had to push like crazy on the limit of my abilities to get close. But now I'm not really pushing that hard, I'm just driving clean and the pace is there. Not sure if my rears are starting to drop off a bit. Oh, the pace is good on the tire. I think it's just brain playing tricks on me. It's just so difficult to stay on like full focus because you just have to focus all the time. Despite it being much easier to race than at Zandvoort with those cliffs right next to the track. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It's brain. Not on purpose, like, I thought I was kind of safe there. Oof. Okay, defended that one. There is, yeah, just as I spoke, but it's really like, it's a great, really great series, this, to learn about how the racing brain works. Because this series is really a lot about the focus that you have and consistent feeling of the track and the car. And I don't think I broke too late, it was just the feeling of the car. I just slightly mismanaged the braking and the rear just fully snapped. Luckily the braking zone and the off track is without walls and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I really learned a lot. Like this car or racing in series like this, especially on the more difficult tracks, teaches you that you might have the pace, but that doesn't mean anything. You need to manage it and manage the focus and manage the fear. I had a small drift now at the start of the braking zone, but it was fine, but it's such a tiny margin and it suddenly really snaps, and then you just put the rear into the gravel and off you go. Oof. Okay. Luckily I have 80 more horsepower, so I could just out-accelerate him again. You miss RF2? Well, I would miss it too if I didn't race in HRC. just such a nice contrast to everything in LMU. And it's necessary now and then. The rear temperatures are really increasing. 15 to go, right? I mean, I don't think there should really be any bigger cliff, but let's see. How's the fuel? I have too much fuel. Nice. Well, I got quite lucky with the curb bugs in this race. No launches yet. Keep trying to downshift with my left fingers. Yeah, I'm not jinxing it, it's all good. I just need to think of it. Because I took that curb that launched me into the air in practice during this race a couple of times, because I kind of understeered on it. But I should rather avoid it. So 12 to go. The tire wear is certainly now starting to cause a bit of a lap time drop. Yeah, like Ross was about to drive, but he woke up this morning with some virus, and then through the morning he suddenly realized he cannot do it, so within those 2 or 3 hours before Quali started, I didn't really even think of trying to find a replacement. Tires are a bit sketchy now. Well, the fuel is getting burnt off, so the nose is more and more up into the air, which means more and more of understeer, but at the same time the rears are cooking, so more and more of oversteer. It's a bit weird balance. Knops is dropping off. Yeah, a bit of a shame. Like he really loves Riverside, he said, so he was looking forward to do it. Just normal racing line. I need to calm down the rear. Still using that curb, which I said I shouldn't. Fabio, hello, indeed. The flow, like, I mean, Sector 1 is really strange, the way that we need to drive it now here, but that's just in-game problem. Because the gravel has too much grip, and there is no dirty tires and so on. But the flow of the track, the layout is just so great. I see Kirsten into P3. He had a nice back to front challenge. But oh well, my tires are not giving up. I really feared a lot that the Brabham with Knops will be just unbeatable around here despite this long straight, just because of how much time we spent off throttle in the corners and in the braking zones, where the Brabham is just so much better. But the Bob worked into my favor. I mean, Quali was reasonably tight. And then the race start was a bit frustrating, but overall, massive advantage for the Eagle. be honest, on Nordschleife, what was the... It was the other Brabham of Sido Wire, right? I think that I almost caught with the late last lap push when his tire was absolutely gone, but I still had good grip. And I was surprised to see a lighter car destroying the tires, but me still having the pace. But similar situation today. Well, 4 more laps of this great track in this great car. I always wanted for a decade and more than a decade since we started driving R-Factor 2, I always wanted a season with these open wheelers in the 60s. And nobody ever organized something proper. But now finally it happened. A bit of a shame that it happened once RF2 was basically written off by the masses. But it was still such a nice season with top level of competition. The rear, left rear is not great, but somehow the pace is still in the car. Two to go. Too much curb, and the tires are lava. And I'm still taking that curve that sent me to space yesterday. That yellow flag was, I guess, for an incident further off. Yeah, at Monza my pace kind of dropped towards the end because of that ride height problem. But today I kind of optimized it a bit more for the late stage race, and it really is paying off. I mean, it's just 2 clicks of front ride height, but it makes a massive difference. Maybe that's why as well at the start I was a bit slower, because I was just smashing into the bump stops on the front, costing me a bit of grip. Into the last lap. Rosie, yes, this is the last race, 10 out of 10, or well, 9 out of 9, because we cancelled one of the races. Keep missing the upshifts, but all good. I thought the engine wear would be a bit bigger issue than it actually was. But it's good that the upshift has to happen. Well, it's optimizing for power is still fine with RPM. It's not like some other cars in RF2 where if you shifted where the optimal power was, you were destroying the engine already. Anyway, what a nice season it was. The Spa race was beautiful. I enjoyed the Monza. Monza was one of the better races I ever had. Zandvoort was a nice recovery. Monaco was really good fun until I hit curb at 30 kph and lost the tire. Anyway, across the line, take the checkered flag. Oof. Beautiful season, beautiful cars. I just wish that more people appreciated racing them, but they are so sketchy. Still a shame that I had to miss that Pescara. That's such an amazing project, like the long lap, even longer than... Is it longer than Nordschleife? No, I think it's slightly shorter, but more sketchy with houses next to the track. Well, thank you for the GGs. Happy that finally the Bob was kind of more into my favor. I mean, at Monza it was like Eagle versus Ferrari. Here it seems like the Eagles had quite an advantage. But I also really like the track. Luckily we only had one Brabham to fight against. Usually there were like 2 or 3, and they were all quicker than each other, so it was never an easy fight. Well, that was Open Wheel Racing Series Formula A and Formula B of HRC. I think Nico is already working with somebody. Well, he has his team working on the next season, but it's gonna be sports cars again, I think. I don't know which years, but potentially again early 50s, just a lot better than previous time. And that's, if something happens like that, I am gonna make sure I try to make it, because this is great fun. park it somewhere in a nice scenic spot. Wait, I think some spots are better down the track. Not sure if those hills behind the track are climbable? But either way. Guess I need to jump into the into that interview chat. Where is it? Wait for interview. Confirm. And then after interview, I'm gonna close it down, or maybe check the replay as well, if the server stays alive.
Hello, good race.
Thank you. Was nice fight.
Yeah. Yeah, you were too fast at the end for me.
I was so surprised that my tires just didn't die.
I was hoping you would, but mine almost did.
Like 48% in the end.
Yeah, something similar from me.
Almost binned it once. They pulled Bert into the... Wait, was that the one?
Hello.
Hello. You did last to first today? Or last to podium at least?
Yeah, last one on the podium. You won, yeah?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Do you know what's the championship standings in the end? Bert won or...?
Yes, Bert was leading before the race, so
Okay,
he's still in the...
Trying to find that moment. Oh yes. So breaking point was that 4 board. Lift a bit before, brake here. I did everything the same as every lap. Thank you, Casper, much appreciated. But yeah, everything was the same. I broke. And then suddenly something went wrong here, over this weight transition or like vertical. Luckily there was grip. I had to be slightly cautious. And then the poor V6, or is it V12? There are 8, wait, there are 8 intakes. But it's a V6 sound. Yeah, but no chance against my V12. Well, I think I'm just gonna close down my stream anyway before I jump into the voice. So well, for the time being, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed something different than normally, and see you again in Le Mans Ultimate. Bye bye.